What's going on, guys? It's Drew. This is my mess here. This is a 420A Mitsubishi Eclipse engine. Well, two of them, all torn apart. And my DSM over there, which I know you guys have seen this story. But I'll show you, for those of you who haven't seen it, walk over here, come walk with me. I'll show you what happened to this one. There's a bunny. Bada boom. Absolutely destroyed. So I have to pull that block out and put a new engine in it. So that's what we're going to be working on. We're going to be building this engine ground up in my humble garage. I have the hoist. I don't have a stand, so we're going to see what I can do kind of with where I'm at, what I have here. And we're going to go ahead and fix it up and get it in the Eclipse. I think my goal for today is to take the good bearings that are on this one, transfer it here. Obviously throw the crank on there. I have to go to AutoZone and buy good rod bearings for these rods because they're trash. Throw the rod bearings on here, put the crank in, put the rods to the crank, press them in, put the oil pan on this block, and then go ahead and probably tilt it up somewhere because I don't have the head gasket or the head bolts for the head yet. The AutoZone has a head gasket, but obviously no one sells head bolts for this anymore. So I'm gonna have to order them online and get those shipped in. But my goal is to do the bottom end, at least for tonight, hopefully. And my little brother may or may not be coming out to learn a little bit. So that'll be interesting, that'll be fun. He said that he had an interest possibly in mechanics, so we're gonna go ahead and see. All right, so we just went ahead and swapped over the best bearings that we had. They're not new, but they're the best ones we had for the main bearings. So now we're gonna go ahead and polish up the crankshaft journals, lay the crankshaft on here, and then we gotta see which of these two girdles that I have the best bearings here. Hopefully we can make something work here and throw that together, and hopefully everything checks out there. All right, so we just polished up this crank a little bit. Again, this is kind of a engine we're throwing together just to get the car moving, working. Not perfect, but I can't feel any grooves in these journals, so should be good. Now we gotta check the bearings on the girdle, which that one looks a little rough, but we're gonna pick the best ones out of the group. All right, so we swapped over the main bearings from the girdle onto the other one. Now we're gonna clean the surface here and go ahead and drop the girdle onto the actual block. All right, we just got out of the AutoZone, picked up our rod bearings, and we have our piston ring compressor. The piston rings on that are good, they're new. So we just need this to go ahead and install the pistons into obviously the crankshaft and into the block. Go ahead, when we get back home, we'll throw these in, well, we'll throw the pistons in, and we weren't able to get the head gasket here. They didn't have it in stock, so I'm gonna have to order that as well as the head bolts together, but that should be fine. So for tonight, the goal is just to go ahead and get those pistons pressed into the block, get the new bearings on, which it shouldn't be that hard. And I did forget to put some oil on the bearings so it can spin better, and there's no dry starting or anything. So I'll probably just pull off the girdle, lube them up, and then throw the girdle back on. I haven't even torqued it down yet. I just have to get back to do that. So we'll cut back to when we're there. All right, so we're back in the garage. I'm gonna change out these bearings now and throw all new ones in there. And then we'll get these kind of, well, like I said, I gotta pull that off and lube everything, but then we'll throw it all together. All right, we went ahead and we lubed up all the journals, all the bearings under this girdle. Now it's time to go ahead and put the new bearings in these rods and then go ahead and get these kind of pressed in. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna kind of maneuver this. I think I'll probably stand it up on its end and do it that way for now because I don't have a stand, but we'll see. All right, guys, so I already went ahead and threw two of the pistons in, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and show you guys kind of how to do this for those of you who don't know. So these are your rings, your piston rings. These top two are compression rings. This bottom one is actually made up of 3 different rings. There's a tiny little one here. There's this mesh, and then there's actually one on the bottom. This is your oil ring. And when you go ahead and do your piston rings, what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that these gaps here aren't lined up with each other. So if this one that one were lined up with each other, you would actually have low compression. It would just kind of seep through here and could cause engine harm. Same with your oil ring. You don't really want it to be lined up. Everyone has their own ways of where they put these. Everyone's going to tell you something different. Just use what works for you. You just want to make sure that these don't line up when you go ahead and install it. So I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and install it now. I am doing this with one hand, but you're going to go ahead and get a piston ring compressor tool from your local auto parts store, or go ahead and get it on Amazon or however you want to do it. It's going to come with an Allen key right there, and it's going to have this spot here. You basically fit this around the piston and you compress these rings. When you twist this knob to the right with the Allen key, it's going to compress all this. So you want to line it up, and then you're basically going to take it with the tool. This is my number 2. It has an arrow. I don't know if the video is going to pick it up, but there is an arrow right there. That's actually facing towards the crank. So you would go ahead, put it in here with the tool, go ahead and tap the tool to make sure that it's sitting flush, and you're just going to lightly tap in the center of the piston to push it in. So I'll record that, but let me get it set up. All right, so after lightly tapping around the tool to make sure that it's sitting flush, you're going to go ahead and grab the rubber side of whatever you're using. You don't want to hit it too hard because you could actually dent the piston depending on the material and how hard you hit. And you're going to just tap on the center piece right here. So let's see, I'm going to use no hands, just my right one, and try and hit it in. We'll see. I might have to, you know, not record it, but you're just going to lightly tap. And you hear some tension. And went ahead and went in. So you're just gonna go ahead and tap, and you're in for the most part. And then you go ahead and finish it. Make sure that your crank is lined up and you're not beating on it, hitting it into the crank. But it's pretty self-explanatory, and that's how you install a piston. All right, and there you have it. All the pistons are in. I kind of torqued everything down. Now everything's kind of lubed up. I have to put some gasket behind this oil pump, but I don't have it right now. So I think this is kind of where I'm going to call it quits. Everything's in. This block is majority of the way assembled now as far as the internal components go. Obviously I got to throw brackets and sensors on, and you know, there's a coolant pipe here, water line. But for the most part, it's ready. The better bearings are in there, and then I got new rod bearings. There's all the garbage now. So I'm gonna make this a 2-parter. This is the first half, and then we'll probably throw the head all together and throw it in the engine on the second half. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.